The vice president of the Gambia has resigned after a 90-day state of emergency was declared by incumbent President Yahya Jammeh less than 24 hours to the inauguration of President-elect Adama Barrow. We are also learning that the outgoing President Yahya Jammeh has sacked all his cabinet members plus his security personnel and replaced with a new squad. This follows Yahya Jammeh's refusal to accept the results of the just-ended elections in the Gambia. Now, despite the emergency state, the president-elect Adama Barrow says all is set for the inauguration on Thursday. Now, President ECOWAS is on the list of invitees to attend this ceremony. Question remains, with all the security threats associated with this inauguration, will he still attend the ceremony? If he is, what security arrangements have been put in place to protect the president whilst in the Gambia? We'll be gauging the mood of government on this matter and also international relations aspect on the matter. Also, the governing MPP is demanding fairness from the police in handling party activists who have been arrested following forceful takeovers in some parts of the country. The party has responded to persons who are demanding for the President ECOWAS to speak to bring an end to the ongoing takeovers being perpetrated by the invisible forces. The answer they give is no, the President will not say a word. And the MPP is also suggesting that the NDC people must do the right instead of calling on the President to speak.
Do you expect the president to speak on this? The president, before he was even inaugurated as the president, condemned it. Please, for goodness sake, they should take out another sleep from some of these things.
So when are we going to see an end to these takeovers and threats of retaliation by the opposition NDC? We will be seeking answers from some security intellects on the matter. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Bryan. The security situation in the Gambia seems to be worsening as talks get defeated incumbent President Yahya Jammeh to accept election results and step down failed. Few hours to the inauguration, President-elect Adama Barrow say many people have fled to neighboring countries suspecting violence. Let's do some analysis now, and Dr. Vladimir Entry Danso is an international relations expert, and he's also with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Good evening to you. Many thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. But let me correct an impression first and foremost. I'm not with Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, even though we have a lot in common. I'm with the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College.
All right, many thanks for the correction. So what does 90-day state of emergency mean to the upcoming inauguration of the Gambia and the security as a whole? We know that the inauguration will be happening in less than 24 hours.
It's a kind of security problem. Like the 90-day extension of Yahya Jammeh's rule means that he would still be in command. A lot of the rules and regulations and constitutional laws would not apply, and he would be a dictator, call it. Under a state of emergency, you have a right to do whatever, and whatever will come will not come from Parliament. It will come from the institutions that is slated for emergency, like the Ministry of Interior, or from the presidency, and that will be bringing out decrees and or edicts to rule the country, which means Barrow's installation cannot come on in a state of emergency. That's all the implications.
This certainly looks very bad for the Gambia. And of course, more worrying is the fact that President-elect Adama Barrow is very sure that this will come on and it will end without a hitch.
My personal advice to Barrow is not to try it because the situation is volatile, and whatever you do, a state of emergency has been declared, which is legal because the man is still in power, even though it's bad. To violate the state of emergency means that you are calling for some kind of instability. And when you do that, he still has the power, and the loyalty of the troops may be to him as of now. And if he starts using the troops, then it means the whole system which you want to salvage will be jeopardized. And I strongly believe that no head of state, I heard in your introduction stating that head of state has also been invited. I don't think the security, advisors would allow him to go. He wouldn't go. And I believe that no other head of state will go to Gambia in such a circumstance unless they make the place stabilized, and which would allow them to attend. So Barrow, yes, he doesn't have to hurry. The whole international community is now putting pressure on Yahya Jammeh. His own people are deserting him. The vice president has resigned. The Supreme Court, there's nobody, there's only one man who is not even prepared to handle the case. So it's like he's now living in isolation. And most of the decisions he's taking are in hysteria. You know, you could see the man is a man who is now paranoid. So I believe Barrow should leave the case in the hands of ECOWAS to deal with him, or in the hands of the international community to deal with Yahya Jammeh. For him to come into a peaceful Gambia rather than a divided and rancorous Gambia devastated by war and that kind of thing.
There are those who feel that ECOWAS could have done more to avert this situation. I mean, they could have resolved this situation before getting to this particular moment where inauguration is supposed to happen and this 90-day of state of emergency being declared by Yahya Jammeh. What are your observations from where you sit?
Unfortunately, such persons do not understand the basics of where conflict starts and how to deal with it diplomatically. I wouldn't fault ECOWAS. ECOWAS did all that it could. It has sent emissaries twice, and that's what you do. Using the panel of the wise, by the Africa Peace and Security Initiative, they've done everything that protocol demands. They've done everything that we do in diplomacy. And remember, war is the ultimate in diplomacy. So ECOWAS has also indicated that if all else fails, they will use force. And the use of force demands some kind of logistics, preparation, and whatnot before deployment. It may take 6 months before ECOWAS can deploy because we don't have a standby force. And that is why Senegal is saying, I can do the job on behalf of ECOWAS. And it's normally done. You could delegate any one country which is prepared to go in, just like Ghana and Nigeria took the front seat when it came to Liberia. So ECOWAS, I cannot fault them. I will not fault them. They've done all that they could. It is the intransigence of the incumbent which has created a bigger problem for ECOWAS. And remember, we have had it before. In Togo, they resolved it. In Benin, in Burkina Faso, and again close by Côte d'Ivoire. So I wouldn't fault ECOWAS at all.
Nigeria has already sent a warship to the Gambia. We do not know about other arrangements that ECOWAS has made, but does this give a good signal?
Well, it's a good thing. The point is that sending a frigate into area of operation for the future does not necessarily mean that Nigeria is heading for war. It is a deterrent kind of measure. It's deterrent. Either you have a kind of what is called forward presence. You amass troops around the area to deter the person from, doing what he doesn't have to do. Or you are trying to swagger. Swaggering is one of the, you fly planes over, you do a whole lot of things. You declare a no-fly zone, but your planes can be flying low in Gambia. All these things are deterrent measures. So I believe Nigeria is only creating a deterrent kind of measure. Nigeria has not declared war. Neither has ECOWAS asked Nigeria to do that. So personally, if you ask me, it is one of those things we call deterrent in diplomacy.
And if you look at the Gambia, it's in a very bad state now. So,
yes.
And you are foreseeing that the inauguration ceremony may not happen. And even if they attempt to make it happen, it may end with some unfortunate things. But beyond this, what next for the Gambia?
Gambia needs to do everything possible to avoid instability, because Barrow will then have to come and pick the pieces, and the Gambians will have to have a period of transition which is full of picking up the pieces. My personal advice is for ECOWAS to continue to put the pressure and to get Yahya Jammeh out and keep the Gambia in peace, one piece, so that Barrow begins to build the institutions or the pillars of democracy for the future generations.
And so, but there are those who feel that, of course, the ICJ is there. Why are we not making use of it? What is the role of the ICJ in all of this?
The ICJ doesn't come in. The ICJ, let me give a little tutorial. There is a difference between the ICC and the ICJ. The ICJ is International Court of Justice,
okay,
which adjudicates between countries and among countries.
Right.
And it's part of the UN setup.
Okay.
It's one of the organs of the UN.
Right.
The ICC is an agency of the UN.
The International
So from the
Criminal
Rome
Court.
Statute.
Right.
And what Yahya Jammeh is doing, if he doesn't take care, it is the ICC that would appear before.
With him.
So the ICC cannot come in until there are reports of something, and the prosecutor general would have to then indict the person against whom there are findings. Incidentally, the current general prosecutor of the ICC was the former Attorney General of Gambia.
Right.
So she cannot just say bring the guy until there is evidence, and then she indicts the man, and then the man can be arrested. So that is how it is.
All right, many thanks to you, Dr. Vladimir Enchidanse. He's an international relations expert, and he says he's with the Ghana Armed Forces. Many thanks for your time on today's Big Story. Joining me in the studio is Dr. Franklin Bonney, who's also a security analyst. Many thanks for your time on today's Big Story, Doc.
Thank you.
But quickly, let me ask your thoughts on all these happening in the Gambia.
Very well. Let me say hello to my listeners of the Joy Television. Against the background of what Dr. Vladimir Enchidanse has just spoken, realize that Gambia is at the verge of war or fighting, but something can be done. What I foresee is that from the background of what is taking place, really, the president earlier on has submitted a resignation of his country out of what? Of the ICJ we're talking about.
Right.
But he has forgotten also that the effectiveness of his resignation will take effect from the 10th of November 2017.
Right.
So whatever happens between now and then, like we were saying, he'll be held responsible. But I also foresee that if nothing is done, and like you're saying, we must be able to use diplomacy in having this problem resolved. Other than that, everything lies on the president's shoulder. Because when it happens right now, for the 2 decades ago, he has been indeed arresting, intimidating, torturing the opposition.
Right.
Again, even the media, who have been so emboldened in talking about, are now at risk.
Issues.
Right now, they are really fearing if what happens, they also be affected. And then the country is then going. So we need to look at.
A lot of people are fleeing.
Fleeing. So indeed, what we foresee is that the president, the ECOWAS, the EU, the UN, all must rally together and indeed ensure that these very kind of diplomacy have been adopted.
Right.
Any other force, like he was saying, will mar the whole thing. And it will affect not only Gambia, but also affect the entire nation. Okay. And which, of course, it will mean that various head of state will be going up and leaving their constitutional responsibilities in their various countries or home countries.
To go and deal with
this
issues.
kind of thing. And that's going to affect development, economic development, so many things. And to look at an example in Ghana, when we have just been taken over from another government, he needs now putting up his
He needs to settle down.
And then he'll be going up and down. You know what it means. It will affect. So the same thing happens to other states. Whatever development they are going through, it will bring it to suspension. So we all have to really pray. We need to ensure that the stakeholders involved in this diplomacy will apply professionalism. Like he was saying, I was going to talk about, but he has dealt with that. The subject of Nigerian taking warship there. It's just a sign of just not going really to go and fight, but at least to let them know that indeed something is going on. So we are all watching. Actually, today, the 18th day of January, is the end of his office. So it's expected that tomorrow, but he's still on it and has declared emergency, state of emergency. Like he was explaining, it's all is to stick to it, and now we are all waiting to see. But I'm also still praying. My little consolation is that the ECOWAS, the EU, the UN, who have already, taken the strides, must continue to apply diplomacy, alternative disputes, resolution principles, and then we'll get there. I believe we will get there.
But if you listen to Dr. Vladimir Chidan, so he feels that no head of state should make any attempt in trying to say that I'm going for inauguration because Adama Barrow is optimistic it's going to happen. Do you think that it is a good argument?
Yes, it is somehow, but it is. Let me also add my voice that it is because one, the Jammeh, the president of Gambia today, he was in the military, and he came out. And later, he was even practicing herbalism, this herbal product kind of thing. And then he was even using the presidency for what? For herbal, healing people at the presidency.
Wow.
And then he joined the political party, Reorientation and Construction Party of his, that's the name of his party. And he won and came. Now, right now, he has dissolved, or he has really shifted, or, when I say sack, most of the word of the military word, exactly, and then gurus, exactly, and get people who rally behind him. Would you believe that the day that indeed the ECOWAS were there, the chief of the army staff was in what they call it, a picture of the president showing that he's really rallying support. So he has got these people behind him, which is unfortunate to me. It goes to eat into what? Violation of the international human rights violation, which is absolutely. So right now, the security apparatus of all various countries, the intelligence agencies must be on the ground and gather intelligence very well before them, because head of state going there and being affected will mean a country has been affected.
Definitely so. And so, of course, you feel that the ceremony may be mad.
It will not be as it's expected. It will not be what it's supposed to be.
It may not even happen at all.
It may likely not happen because of the trend of events between now and tomorrow. Between now and tomorrow morning, actually, we don't know what is going to happen, but it takes the grace of God to handle every situation, because the military there with his Jammeh, this president, will not be sleeping. I believe he will not sleep. He will be at work.
Okay, so we'll be praying that Gambia goes through this turbulence smoothly.
That's right.
But let's come back to our own country, Ghana, where the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP is saying that those of you who think that, look, President Akufo-Addo should come out and speak so that the invisible forces who are associated with the NPP will stop the takeovers, you can't get you can't get what you want because the president is not speaking. And then Nana Obribwahin also is saying that the police who have arrested 16 persons in connection with the violent takeovers should treat them fairly. The people who have been arrested must be treated fairly. That's what Nana Obribwahin is saying. Let's listen to him and then we can have a conversation.
It's enough. You see, our colleagues in NDC have been pouring unprintable words on Nana Addo Dankwa when he was a flag bearer, making unacceptable, uncivil, uncouth, uncultured, unfortunate comments about Nana Addo. Sometimes when leadership of the party has taken even decision to suspend some of our leaders, they will just bundle everything and conclude that it is Nana Addo who has instigated some of us. But that is not it. If you are a member of MPP, if you occupy an executive position MPP, you realize that, look, this is a party which we call ourselves the Democrats. So sometimes it's quite unfortunate, unacceptable, when issues have been discussed and debated upon by the National Council, National Executive, and yet the NDC as a party, they want to rope in Nana Addo.
Will the president ever speak on this publicly?
Oh, do you expect the president to speak on this? Yeah. The president, before he was even inaugurated as the president, condemned it. We have been condemning such acts of lawlessness. So what else? What again?
Well, that was before he was inaugurated as president. And indeed, when he spoke, all of that stopped. But we're expecting that now that all of these have come up again, the president would speak to address.
Speaking for myself, I don't think. Consistently, persistently, the president has condemned such lawlessness. So what else?
Wouldn't it add much weight to it for the president to speak to them?
I beg to differ. Look, The accusations have all been leveled against MPP as a party. This morning, we've summoned you here and responded that we will not endorse or encourage such lawlessness. What else again?
Well, but also the press conference referred to the person of the president.
Then, will you also say that President Mahama himself will come out and also tell the whole world that NDC activists have been harassed? Is that the question? Yes, you're not. It is NPP as a body. In my party, in our party, MPP, the party's constitution is supreme. The party's constitution is supreme. So it's quite unfortunate, unacceptable that consistently they have been roping in the name of Nanando, and the impression being created that it was even Nanando who did set up the invisible force. But that is not the truth of the matter. That is not the truth of the matter. Please, for goodness sake, they should take out Nanando's name from some of these things. We are here. We are running the party. If they have any complaint. You see, it would have been proper for our colleagues in NDC if they had written to us that, look, we want to meet the leadership of MPP. Now, MPP national executives or sit down with NDC national executives. Then we will iron out our differences. We will look at the way forward for Mother Ghana. That would have been better. I'm reliably informed that Kwaku Anyidoho has written to foreign embassies, high commissioners, and the rest. We will respond to that. Very soon, you'll hear from us. Mark my words.
All right, so that was Nana Obribwine, his Deputy General Secretary of the ruling NPP. Doc, we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and this doesn't look to me like it's going away anytime soon, correct?
Very well. I pick a little bit of stuff from what he's saying, that it should have been where the party level to the party level to come, that it shouldn't be linked to. That's one is established. Fine.
Right.
However, I also see that whenever election is coming forth, at the end of each election, definitely, whether one likes it or not, one is going to be a winner, one's going to be a loser. And I foresee, and I also really suggest all the time that each party must orient their followers.
Supporters.
They do many things, but this aspect of orientation, whereby should we go into opposition, what do we do? Because our men are in these public positions. Please, this, that, and psych their minds, conscientize their minds, and then the other party also do the same thing. If we do win, this is what so that kind of basicity of knowledge will be established. And if it's not, and that's what it's going, because now the issue is that it's human nature, it's anger, they are beefed up. It's been done before, so why don't you do? But that is not the issue. That shouldn't be the case. It's not fair. It's not nice. But then we have to also take it from the party level, whereby we can be able to institute some measures, psychological measures, training, orientation, all the kind of social bond kind of measures, so that be able to establish, and these parties can be able to resolve issues with that. Now I'm hearing that he's gone to written a letter to our international community. This is internal issue that we think we need to address it. We need to address it locally. It has not got to that level of writing to the international community to come in. Are we at war? No. Are we in? This is an internal issue.
It's an internal.
Then we need to handle it with. It has not got to that level of writing this kind of communication to the international community. So what I'm suggesting is that at the party level, the parties that are the two major, the MPP, NDC, must indeed come together at the executive level and resolve. When they resolve, we have a structure among all these parties. We have the youth organizers, we have this and that. So when they have been resolved at the executive level, of course, the very responsible structure that's in place will be used. Youth organizer, rally or find a way of communicating to the youth who are going to do that assessment. Then we apply the principles of rule of law to take over whatever we want to take, and not this way. Violence will not solve the problem, I suggest. So we should be able to work out this, so that it should not be a 9-day wonder. Right. It should be in a permanent kind of situation whereby it can be established.
To deal with the issue once and for all. Yeah. Doc, let me have you hold, because Lavinia Adai is Deputy Executive Director at WANEP, and WANEP has been monitoring events in the Gambia. She joins us via phone. Good evening to you, Madam Lavinia. What's new now in the Gambia? Are there troops being deployed there? We're told more and more people are fleeing the country. What's WANEP's intelligence picking?
Well, I think the news we have the latest in terms of the alleged resignation of the vice president, and also that Yahya Jammeh has dismissed his cabinet and asked them to return all properties that are in their possession. There are also some allegations which are not yet confirmed regarding people being recruited for the security forces. But what is clear is that there's a lot of, he's losing ground in terms of support, and a lot of the ministers, even before the alleged dismissals, had resigned.
Well, while some of us fear that for the Gambia, many, especially President-elect and his team, are confident the inauguration will end without any hitch. What's your own observation from your monitoring?
I think it's a bit difficult to really be certain about what the situation will be tomorrow in terms of the inauguration. Yes, there are various, scenarios being played out. The possibility of an inauguration in Senegal, given that the Gambian embassy in Senegal is an extension of the authority. And we're not sure yet what legal implications that has in terms of full recognition of the then, the elected president as president. There's also the scenario where, with an ECOWAS intervention, should it come in almost immediately, since there's been a show of force by ECOWAS now, clearly indicating that there's a preparedness to intervene, whether that will provide some kind of cover and the space for that inauguration to take place tomorrow. So we are still not very clear on what exactly will happen. It's more of a wait and see. Once we get a very, a clear sign from ECOWAS that we're going in now, then, of course, there might be that possibility, but for now, we can't really say for certain.
Well, Madam Lavinia Adai-Mensah is Executive Director for ONEP. We're extremely grateful for your time on today's big story. But finally, Doc, and very briefly, our time is running out. How to resolve this issue of party supporters or party forces going to take over state institutions anytime there's a change of government? Of course, this has been happening not today, it didn't start today, and it's something that we must all condemn. How do we resolve this once and for all, considering the fact that it happens anytime there's a change in government?
I think that, like earlier said, it's really based on what? The importance of what? Of reorientation and conscientization of the minds of the youth, because there's no job for them. There's nothing for them to do. They feel they have to, but it has been done to them. But that shouldn't be paid for what we have done to them. And that spirit
of retaliation, vindication,
exactly.
And all that.
But it's to be able to understand that even anything at all.
But what would you say to the argument that whether the president should speak or not?
The issue of the president, I don't really see that the president should speak. It is not worthy for, because it is the party that is in question. The structures are there.
But people think that with his position, when he speaks, he calms tempers.
My dear, he might speak, but you'll be surprised that even though they would, but it will be very effective when a youth organizer stands there after they have had the very executive meeting inter-party to resolve it, and then he goes in to stand as a what do you call his name?
Samuel to speak.
They will listen to more than what, because he's a youth himself. He's exuberant. And he will be able to convince and talk to the conscience of these
supporters. So well, many thanks to you, Dr. Bonney, for coming on today's Big Story. Truly appreciate your time. And this is today's Big Story. We've been talking security issues in India and in Ghana here. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Have a great evening.